And welcome back to the OCR Lounge. Today we are joined by another graduate, a 2023 graduate who has had a lot of success on the track and on the soccer pitch. She is now at Ole Miss, and there's some fun stories you're going to hear about her journey as an athlete and why she chose Ole Miss when her dad played baseball at Mississippi State. So stay tuned for this exciting episode of the OCR Lounge with Evie Ewing. And welcome, Evie, to the show. So glad to have you here. I mean, we got you back from Christmas break, and it's really cold today.
It's freezing. I thought it was snowing when I was driving here.
They said we're supposed to have some snow. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is. I know there's some wintry mix up north, and I think Oxford is going to get some precipitation, some wintry mix coming up. Maybe this Friday or Saturday. So I don't know when you go back, but there could be some frost on the ground.
Well, last year they extended our winter break because it was all that ice storm.
Well, you weren't mad about that, were you?
I was not mad about that. I was kind of excited.
Well, Evie, you're a 2023 graduate, and a lot of fun memories with me on track. I didn't coach you in soccer, but track was one of those things that you kind of propelled yourself into. But I want to get into your time at Ole Miss right now. We'll go back down memory lane here in a minute. Okay. But Ole Miss is one of those schools that I think right now is killing it with student athletes, with their athletic department, and just with the school in general. I think that's one of those things that they have kind of found a way that, like, kids from Texas, like students from Texas and like Alabama, like you're getting kids from all over. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think Ole Miss is just an easy place to like there's a lot of things you could like say to get somebody to come. Like, it's a great community. Everybody's nice. We have great facilities. So it's a lot of, I guess, coaches like to lure you in with like a lot of, you have this, and this.
And you have a lot of great coaches too. I'm noticing that.
Hard to say no to.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into that in a minute. Let's talk about your freshman year. So go back a year ago.
Okay.
One of those cool things, you started 14 games. You started the first game of the season against the in-state rival USM. Tell me about how that went down.
The Southern Miss game?
Yeah, against USM.
That one was such a fun game. I mean, nerves were heightened to the max. I mean, I was so nervous because it was the first, game of the year. We had played some preseason games, but this was like
the real deal.
The real deal, yeah. So it was really nerve-wracking, but our team kind of settled the nerves a little bit because we walked into our locker room and they decorated all of our lockers, stuff like that. So that was kind of made everybody feel a little bit better. But then we got on the game, and I scored the first goal. And
so in your first career start, in your first career college game, you score the goal. And that's on our Instagram feed. If you want to go and watch that, it's in that deal where it was like an unorthodox goal. Talk me through that goal. How did that happen? What was the score? Was it 0-0, 1-1?
It was 0-0. We played the first half, 0-0 second half. And it was probably maybe 10 minutes into the second half. And basically, one of my teammates, Kelly Brady, tried to play me over the top, play me behind their defense. And so I was running onto it, but their goalie got it. And so I was like, I think I can get there. It's like, I think I can get there. But I was all the way at half field, basically, trying to run onto it.
Yeah.
So I was pretty far back. But I thought, maybe. And then the goalie took a touch, so it gave me more time to get there. And then she tried to kick it, and I blocked it.
You blocked it and kicked it in, and it was one of those things. I went back and watched it, and I remember being like, how cool of a memory is this? Your first game in college, you're starting, and you score the winning goal on that kind of thing. And it's just to see the raw emotion from after you scored that goal and your teammates come around of just this girl's legit, right? Of seeing that. So where did that love, so let's talk about soccer, because you're a phenomenal two-sport athlete when you were in high school, numerous state championships in track. But let's talk about soccer. You're a 5-time letter winner in soccer. You played club soccer for Rush. I know when you were in high school, you went overseas to play soccer. So I think Alabama FC, ECNL maybe? I don't know. Something like that.
That's right.
And then how did that love, so your personal journey into like just soccer in general, how'd that start?
Okay, well, I started playing soccer when I was 3. And then I had really great coaches all throughout high school. So I had my coach that still coaches me today. His name's David Johnson. I got coached by him when I was probably maybe 10, all up until I graduated high school. So I had him up until, I had a few others because he like retired, I guess, didn't want to coach anymore. And so we had 2 other coaches like my senior year and junior year. And then, but like we still stayed in contact. But he taught so well, and I can't really,
Why do you make you like it? Like what made you, because I know a lot of kids, they grow up, they play basketball, they play baseball, they do the football thing. But you don't hear people like, I'm playing soccer.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just, I was good at it. My parents did not know a thing about soccer. Still,
so they didn't play?
No.
Neither one of them played?
No, they still really don't have any idea.
They just like cheering you on?
Yeah, they just know when we score and when we get scored on, basically. But I was good at it. I had a great coach. I loved playing. I loved going to practice. And it really was, I'd never had a thought like, oh, I hate this. Like, I don't like doing this. Like, I never dreaded going to practice. We always went out of town every single weekend for soccer. I loved my team. So it really wasn't like, there isn't a point where I was like, oh, I want to do this in college. It was just like a given, like, I'm going to do this in college.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of people, they play that hope card, right? I hope, I love this so much. I hope I get to do this at the next level. I hope, where you, the word there is driven. You were driven enough to have a goal of, this is one of those things that I'm going to do in college, no matter what,
Yeah, and I also think, so Mississippi State and Ole Miss and like a bunch of colleges put on these like camps or whatever to go do. And my parents have always, this is kind of my recruiting process also. My parents always sent me to the Mississippi State camp, like since I was really little up until, I committed. And then the one time I went to an Ole Miss camp, this was like the first time. I went when I was younger, but this is the first time I went in high school. Their coach, like the coach that was there, Matt Mott, was like, do you want to go on a visit? And I was like, yeah.
So you've been wearing maroon, or forced to wear maroon and white since you were knee high to the grasshopper, right? Since you were, and they send you to camps. And now you're an Ole Miss Reb. I'll get into that story in a minute because I want to hear the ins and outs from your dad. But this is kind of a touchy subject, but you bring up a great point. Club soccer versus school soccer. And you've seen both sides of the spectrum. You also play with a teammate who went to MRA, did not play school soccer after her junior year, played club soccer, and she's a goalie now. And what is the balance of that? Like, what is the pros and cons of club versus school? Or are there any?
No, there definitely are. Club is, everybody's really on the same level. Everybody's the same age.
Yeah.
And I guess more committed. School soccer is kind of fun. It's like anybody can come if they want to.
Right.
It's all ages. But school soccer for me was kind of like not as serious, but it was serious. Just like I didn't have as much pressure, I guess.
Yeah,
than on club.
Yeah, that's a great point because school soccer, you're playing for your team. You're representing your school. For us, you're playing for the Patriots, right? And the Lady Pats, you wanted to do well for the school, knowing that I'm going to use my club soccer, and I'm trying to, hash this out because I know that's a huge debate: club soccer, school soccer. But the school soccer, like you said, was fun. Was the club soccer fun?
It was very fun, but it was like way more competitive.
Did you know that recruiting was going on at that point?
Oh yes, we would go to, tournaments, and there would be. This is such a stressful thing to see, but you would look on the sidelines, and there'd be like a million coaches just like sitting and watching your game. It was so scary. So you just like had to do well. You had to.
So what do they look for? What do those guys look for? Like, or girls, the coaches, what do they look for when you're playing club soccer or when you're playing a soccer match anywhere? Like, is it touches? Is it, because I think a lot of people, and this is my sports mind, if you're a baseball guy, it's like, how many times am I getting on base? If you're a football guy, how many yards do I have? If you're a track guy, what's my time? What do they look for in soccer?
I think it's a lot of different things. My coach, the coach I was talking about earlier, David Johnson, used to say, like, coaches will get there early to see how early you are at your game. Like, they want to see how prepared and committed you are to a team. So I think they look at that. I think they look at how you warm up, how focused you are, your touches, how you see the game. Because some people are really athletic but don't understand, like, the game enough. Like, you could be really good, but you are never in the right place at the right time because you don't understand, like, where to be.
Yeah.
And so I think they look at that, and obviously, you know, athletic ability, if you can defend, attack, how good you are with your feet, stuff like that.
Right. Maybe how good you are with a team, like how you interact with your team.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. What position did you play? Because I don't even know this. I know, to quote some Spanish, un poquito soccer, which is a little bit of soccer. I know what offsides is. I know what a striker is, and I know what a center back is.
Okay.
When y'all start talking halfbacks and fullbacks, and my mind goes to football. So, what position do you play, and what other positions have you played, and which one's your favorite?
Okay. So, growing up, I was always a left forward.
That sounds like basketball.
Or right forward. Either or. I just always played, like, a striker position.
So, is that a score? Somebody that scores?
Yes.
Okay.
And then, again, whenever I went to this Ole Miss camp, they were like, I kind of like you as a right back. So then I was playing right back for a little bit. Like, I played right back for MRA some, like maybe a few games, but not a lot. And then now I am sort of both. It's super confusing. But basically, when we're on defense, I'm a defender. When we're on offense, I'm a striker.
So you play in the middle?
I play in the middle, but... Okay, so we play a 3-4-3.
Okay.
Okay, so 3 defenders, 4 midfielders, 3 forwards.
Okay.
But the 2 in the middle that are on the outside have to play everything, basically. But we don't go in the middle. We play on the outside.
All right, you're like an outside receiver.
Yes.
How I would... And then you'd be a DB on defense and a receiver on offense. That's really cool. Because that doesn't surprise me, one, with your speed. I mean, you're the fastest girl I've ever seen run at MRA. And I think that your coaches noticed that. And you said when they watched your talent and how you warm up and how you do all these things, they saw that you were fast and you were a scorer. So you started there, and then they're like, wait, she's fast, and then now she can play defense. Well, play both now.
Yeah.
Which one do you like best? Do you like scoring or defending?
I like what I do now. I like doing both.
Gotcha.
Because then you can kind of determine what you want to do more during the game. Like, if there's a really good forward that you have to defend, you can kind of sit back and defend. But if we need help on the offense that one game, I can be more on the attack. So I can kind of determine where I am.
So if you're playing that position, you're like, you cross the ball a lot, I guess. Yeah.
Yep.
So I know a little bit of soccer terminology.
Yeah.
Some fun things that I want to get into as we navigate this conversation is your love for soccer, yes. But is the same love for track that was there as soccer? Or was it forced? And you can be honest.
I wouldn't say it was forced. I mean, in 6th grade, I went to PE class, and Coach Black made us run a 100-meter dash.
Yeah.
And she was like, you're going to be on the track team. And I was like, okay. And that was it from there. And then I got into long jump. I really loved long jump.
You did?
Yes, because it wasn't as much pressure.
We won't talk about 400s.
No, we're not talking about 400. It's a whole different story.
Sore subject.
Yeah, but I do love track. Like, I love the relays. And also, I think soccer had a big thing to do with track because I've always been on a team sport. I've never been alone doing my own event. So then whenever I went to track and I had to stand up there by myself and run by myself, I was like, no.
that's when it comes to that individual to a team sport.
It's like everybody's eyes are on you, and you have to perform well.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what happens. But navigate that 6th grade. So you're a 7-year. If you go back and do the math, graduated in 2023 from 6th grade, you're a 7-year letterman, and in those 7 years, y'all won 6 state championships while you were on that team. Incredible, right? Do you have a favorite memory from track and field at MRA?
Oh, definitely Oregon.
Okay.
Going to Oregon was
All right,
my
well, let's talk
favorite
about that.
memory.
Let's talk about Eugene, because that's one of those cool things that you're on a team, and it's a mixed mile relay team. And I remember we were at Clinton, and we had to run a certain time, and it was pretty cold that night.
It was cold.
I remember. And you would come, I think, from soccer practice or whatever, and you show up at Clinton. Talk us through that race at Clinton, and then we'll talk about Eugene.
Okay. So, yes, I came from soccer practice, and then Coach Black had to basically babysit me for the hour we were going before, because I was a nervous wreck, because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to freak out. And so I was like basically following her around the entire time, doing whatever, I don't even know. And then it was time to run. I don't know if I threw up this time. Did I?
I don't know.
Remember.
For those that are listening to this, there was a time where Evie was on the track and she puked before she ran the 400 and then got back on the track and ran the 400.
Yeah.
And I think you won that. Like, you're running like 59s in the quarter.
Well, one time, do you remember that one time that I think it was at PCS, I threw up, went back on the track, and then I literally passed out, and you caught me at the finish line.
I remember that.
I was like, I can't even move my legs.
I remember that.
Can't even move my legs. Yeah, that was horrible.
So let's
Anyway.
go back to Clinton.
Yes, Clinton.
We have to have a certain time. We have to break 3:45 to be qualified to go to Nike Outdoor Nationals.
See, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, we just told y'all to run. That's not our job. Like, when we're coaching you, we can't tell you like we need this time, because some of y'all would have been like, we got this, and don't have to run as hard. But tell us about your leg of the 4x4.
My leg, okay, I can't remember who I got it from.
I can't remember.
But I got it, and I literally went as fast as I could from the very beginning, because I was like, the faster I get this over with, the faster it's done. But normally, you can kind of strategize how you run the 400, but this one I was just like, no, I'm just going to run it as fast as I can, get it over with. And I did.
Yeah. The cool part about that is they did qualify for Eugene. We did go out to probably the mecca of college track and field, Hayward Field, and we got to do a warm-up track lap. I think when we go through that whole thing and saw the West Coast and all that, I'm going to go and bring us right to that meet day of us running, because there was an extreme high, and I think there's a life lesson in this whole story we're about to talk about. There was an extreme high, and then there was a pit of your stomach of like, So we get there, y'all do the warm-up track. It's one of the coolest venues ever, right? And there were 8 teams that were competing for the Mixed Mile Relay National Championship, and I'll let you tell the story.
Okay. So, well, first, let me add that I remember I was like in a boot.
Oh, yeah. I did forget about that. So we didn't know if you were going to be able to run or not, because you were in a boot. We were trying to make sure, like, do we give her an injection? I don't want to make sure. I don't want to hurt her for college. I don't want to hinder her from this goal that you've been driven since you were 10 years old to go play college soccer.
Yeah.
But yet you were like, we want to win.
Yeah.
So you were in this catch-22 of like, what do we do?
Right.
So, yeah, Evie was in a boot the whole time, except I think you didn't bring it down to the beach when we went down.
I didn't bring it down to the beach.
So talk about that warm-up track and then going to it, like the nerves. Yes. I mean, it felt like the Olympics. It really did.
It did. It really did. So they called us out, whatever, but we had to stay in that room. Do you remember?
Yeah.
It was like underneath the bleachers. We had to stay in there for a little bit, and I was so nauseous, but I like kept it down. But I was freaking out internally, and I like don't talk when I'm nervous. So I was just like sitting there like, oh gosh, I'm gonna freak out. And then they call our race. They're like, mixed 4x4, whatever, and we all have to line up in a line, whatever. And then you go out and you get in your spots. And then it's like a split second. Oh, no, they did the camera thing first where they went around for the...
And you were second leg or third? Did you go after Kennedy or before Kennedy?
Second. I was second.
You were second.
Leg.
So you got it from Cam.
Yes. It was second leg. And then they did the camera, and then it was like that. And then Cam was running, gave it to me, and then I had to do the waterfall thing. I was freaking out about that. So I was like, of course.
We had to coach y'all up on how to do how to do a proper waterfall, because if you broke too early, if you didn't break. So there was some things on that we had to make sure that were correct. You give it to Kennedy.
Yes, I gave it to Kennedy.
And then she gives it to Rivers. Mm-hmm. Talk about what happened.
And then we won.
We won.
And it was so much fun. Oh, wait, let me add this. Right after we won, we're like walking off, and there's like a railing, and I just literally throw my guts up over the railing. Because I guess it was just all that built up anxiety. I was like so thankful it was over, but it was fun. But I was like, thank God the running is done.
Yeah.
Threw up everywhere in Oregon.
Hayward Field. You left your mark at Hayward Field.
Couldn't find the trash can.
So we won, right? We're all celebrating. I remember sitting by Mr. Land, by your dad, and I look up, and y'all are starting to like wave.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, we got done running. We went back to that room that we were at the beginning, taking off our spikes and doing all that. And he pulls out this sheet, like, saying who got first, second, third, whatever. And he was like, MRA or what were we?
Brick City Athletic Club.
Brick City Athletic Club got disqualified. And we were like,
what?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? How? And so then that's when we walked out. Got y'all.
Yeah, you were y'all were all waving, and the first thing I looked at your dad and I was like, Evie's hurt. I thought you had hurt your re-aggravated your foot. That was my first thing. We didn't think you got DQ'd. However, we were DQ'd.
Yep. Yeah.
One of those things that I don't know if the lanes were bigger for Cam or whatever, but in one of the turns he took it too tight and ran out of his lane, and that is a violation. And that's one of those things you cannot do in track and field.
Yeah.
So the extreme high of winning versus the gut wrenching of we just got DQ'd. How'd that make you feel?
Oh, it was horrible. I mean, I felt so bad for Cam, first of all, because I was like, gosh, that sucks. Because he was the only one that had to run in his lane the whole time.
Right.
I was like, God, that sucks. And then I just was like, God, we didn't know. We didn't know.
Ran a 3:34. So you bested our time by 10 seconds, which is insane when you start talking about a mile relay. So is there a life lesson in there? Is there something that you've learned from there? Like, there are rules. Like, a lot of times athletes try to bend the rules a little bit, right? I'm going to try and gain an edge in this category or that category. Was there any life lesson that you learned from that extreme high and extreme low? Like, maybe I just need to do the right thing? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess just being as prepared as you can be.
Yeah.
When going into something that you don't really know much about. Because I know for me, like, track was just something to do with my school, and then it turned into, we're in Oregon.
Right.
And then it was like, oh gosh, we're with the people that do this as like I would do club soccer.
Right.
They do like club track. But I don't know. I guess just know all the rules.
Yeah.
Be fully prepared for anything. And then you can't really mess up.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah, that's one thing that I was talking to Trace about, and I was like, never will I ever not tell a kid you stay in your lane the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, you can't bend the line, you can't run on the line. Like, never will I ever not say. So last year, this past track season, every time we're like, stay in your lane, stay in your lane, stay in your lane. Do not cut a corner. Do not cut a corner. So that's one of those lessons I've learned for myself. So 2022 was cool. We went to Eugene, but if you go look in the scorebook, we weren't there.
Yeah.
What's cool though is the media that had follow us. There was a lot of people watching. They had a watch party. So I think from a standpoint for you four with Cam Covey, yourself, Kennedy Sanders and Rivers Godwin. I mean, those are 4 phenomenal athletes that have come through our athletic department. And to be on a national stage and represent our school, man, kudos to y'all for that. Anything else on track that you want to talk about?
I don't think so.
I got some stats.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Well, not really stats. I want to let the people know that are watching and listening to this. The 2022 All-American in track and field, obviously we just talked about. Mm-hmm. You were the 2022 and 2021 long jump state champion. Then the 2018, 2019, and 2021 400-meter state champion, the one that she throws up on, right? She won 3 state championships in that. You were a top 20 soccer player in 21 and 22. And then you're a 4-time all-conference honoree, and you made the all-star game for soccer. Mm-hmm. So it's easy to see that soccer's your love. As we get into that, you are wearing this Ole Miss soccer sweatshirt.
Yes.
And you grew up a dog with your dad and your mom. Take us through that decision. I think this is a cool one. I think there's some seniors that are going through some stuff right now, like, where do I go to school? Mm-hmm. Do I go to state? Do I go to Ole Miss? My parents went to Ole Miss and I want to go to state, or vice versa. And maybe it's not even just an athletic decision. Mm-hmm. Talk me through your recruiting process and how Justin handled that.
Yeah.
Being a huge state fan.
So basically, I'll just take it from the beginning. So the window opens where the coaches can talk to you July going into your junior year. And so June going into your junior, whatever. So the first day that the window opened, Mississippi State calls me. And so, of course, my whole family's so excited. I'm in my closet because I'm like, get away from me. Y'all can't hear this. It just has to be me and this coach. So they call me. First call I ever get was from them. And then I went to, Mississippi State camps. And then I went to one Ole Miss camp. And me and Mississippi State have been like, their like recruiting coach, whatever, have been talking like nonstop.
Do you think that they thought they were a lock, honestly, because of your family history?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And but I'll get into that. So then me and Catherine Kilpatrick, we went everywhere together.
Right.
Still do.
Y'all just worked at soccer camp.
Yep.
Together.
We still do everything together.
30-degree weather.
Yeah.
It was impressive.
So me and Kat, I go with Kat's parents to a Ole Miss ID camp. Of course, my parents don't want to step foot in Oxford because they're that big Mississippi State fans.
So they just told Mr. J, y'all take her.
Y'all take Evie, and y'all go to the Ole Miss camp, but we'll bring her back to Mississippi State camp whenever she gets back, whatever. And so I go, and I had my coach at the time. His name is Tom Crossgrave. Mm-hmm. He was texting me like, Ole Miss coach really likes you. After the first day, it's 2 days. Ole Miss coach really likes you. He's been texting me about you, whatever. So the next day comes, this last day, and the coach that was coaching me was like, hey, Matt Mott, Matt, like the head coach wants to see you. Like, go get your parents and we'll go and like meet him. And I was like, my parents aren't here. My parents don't like it here. My parents, nope, they don't come here. And so she was like, okay, I'll just go with you. And then it was me and the entire Ole Miss coaching staff in like the camera room or whatever above the bleachers. Mm-hmm. And I was just sitting there and they were like, we really like you. We really want you to come on a visit. Like, does that sound good with you? And I was like, yeah, sounds great. It's like, yes, please. And so we set that up, and then this is the weird thing about recruiting is that once you get one thing, that other team that's recruiting you also is coming at you 10 times harder.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like a competition.
Especially with an in-state rival.
Yes, especially with in-state rivals. So I'm on the way to Ole Miss for my visit, and I get a call from Mississippi State, and he's like, do not say yes to anything while you're there. Like, we have set up an entire visit for you. Like, do not say anything until you come, like, see us, whatever. And I'm like, okay. Freaking
so your
out.
parents are with you right now? The parents are going up with you for the
yes,
visit.
my parents are going up with me for the visit. And so I'm like, okay, like this is so strange. This is so weird. And this was in like, no, I can't remember when this was, honestly. But it was like, I think it was at the beginning of the year.
Okay. Right when recruiting started
like
open
September.
and all that stuff. Yeah.
Maybe around September or August. Can't remember. But yeah, so I'm on the way there and they're texting me, blowing up my phone. Mississippi State's like, don't drink the red Kool-Aid, like all this stuff, crazy stuff. And I'm like, I won't, like, I'm just seeing, checking out my options, whatever. And so I go to Ole Miss first and I freaking love it.
Really?
Like, I love it. The
There
team
you go.
is amazing. And my parents, they also like it. They're like, oh, this will be a cool place for you to stay, whatever.
Yeah.
And then, this is what I was telling you before. So I go and meet the team, and I'm sitting on, like, the couch in the lounge room with one of the coaches, and all the other girls are in the locker room. And he calls out, like, 3 girls, and he's like, come here, so-and-so, and so-and-so, and so-and-so, and they're like, oh, yeah, my dad played football at State. My dad played basketball at State. My dad played baseball at State, but we just couldn't say no to this place. And I'm sitting here like, well, my dad played baseball at State. This is so strange. Because my dad I feel like he would kill me if I went to Ole Miss. But anyway, so then they kind of use that as like a recruiting tactic. Like, these girls did it, so can you. And so then we leave. I love it. Whatever. Go to Mississippi State like the weekend after.
You're like, this not even the same.
Well, I think it would have been different if I didn't literally grow up in Starkville, Mississippi.
So you knew everything about it.
So I knew everything about it.
Yeah,
I knew the in and outs of everything. But in Oxford, it was like a whole new world. Like, I was like, oh, I've never really been here before. I've been here maybe 3 times with Kat to go to a football game, but that's literally it. Or maybe to a soccer camp one time. And so it was just going to State. It was like, oh, I just know everything.
So the change of scenery.
Yes.
How'd your dad react?
Okay, so
he wore Red
fine.
Navy in high school, so he got to be fine with Red Navy in college, right?
Yeah. He was honestly fine because I just fit so much better with the team at Ole Miss than I did with Starkville, and that's totally fine. Yeah. It honestly helped me pick my decision too, and they also realized that. They were like, yeah, I think you'd enjoy it better at Ole Miss. And I was like, yeah, I think I would too.
Did y'all notice that she didn't even call it Mississippi State? She called it Starkville. She called it Starkville. What's been some of your favorite memories in Oxford? I mean, you've played 2 full seasons, a lot of success. I mean, there's some things that are going on. I mean, Oxford's the place to be, right? Mm-hmm. So in your soccer, 2 years of soccer, and then we'll get back to MRA. In your 2 years of soccer at Ole Miss, how was it? Like, how's it been? Your favorite moment? How about
favorite moment? Okay. I have a lot of favorite moments.
Besides the first goal.
Okay.
We know that's like top tier.
Yes. I think when we played LSU was our first SEC game last year. First SEC game with our new coach, because this was the first year that she had come, was my first year. So our first SEC game, LSU, we won, and it was just, the band was there, like the whole stadium was like packed out. It was so much fun. There was like, you know how all the fraternities like make their pledges, do all that stupid stuff. So they were there and they were acting a fool, obviously, but it was just so much fun.
Well, you just said something. The new coach. So you have a new head coach who recruited you?
No, she didn't recruit me.
I know you have a new head coach at Ole Miss.
Yes.
That's different than what recruited you. Mm-hmm. Tell me let's rewind. Press pause, rewind. Tell me about that. How did that go?
This story's crazy.
So the guy that recruits you, gets you to Ole Miss.
Yes.
He leaves before your first game?
He leaves a month before I'm going to college.
Okay, so this is a great story, I think, that colleges, kids going to college need to hear. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times you base it on the coach, if you're going there or not.
Yeah.
You base it on the university. Mm-hmm. Okay, continue.
Well, I mean, and the coach too.
Yeah.
Both coaches were great, but I kind of based on the team also. Anyway, whatever. So basically, I am with my parents and I get a text, and it's like, get on this Zoom. This is a month before I'm leaving for Ole Miss. So I'm like getting all ready, you know, all the stuff, whatever. I get a text, and it's like, get on this Zoom in 10 minutes. So I get on the Zoom, and it's, I've never met any of these girls before, but I'm like, the computer is facing the like media room. And so I'm just facing the entire soccer team that I haven't met before. So very intimidating. It's like me and all the transfers and all the freshmen that are about to come in, you know, in a month. And the head coach, Matt Mott, is like, girls, I'm so sorry, but like I am going to a different school, whatever, basically saying that he's leaving.
Wow.
But he can't tell us where he's going yet. And so we were like, oh, this is so weird. So we're like, okay. And then basically we see like 15 minutes later, he's going to Oklahoma. So he's going to coach at Oklahoma, which is getting into the SEC.
Yeah.
Now, this year, right?
Yeah, it's their first year in the SEC.
So he left last year, coached them while they weren't in the SEC, and now they're in the SEC.
Right.
And then, like, so then now Ole Miss has to just, like, go really quick to find us a coach. We don't have a coach. And so then we get Molly Rouse is our coach right now. She's great.
She's All-American. I've seen all the stuff that y'all do. She's amazing. Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was really scary. But it's also a good thing, though, which is the bright side of this whole situation is that me coming in as a freshman, like the upperclassmen have no idea what they're doing either because it's like a new coach. Like we're all on an equal playing field.
That's a great point.
You know? And so that was a bright side out of the situation was that like everybody is on the same plate. Rather than coming in with an old coach and then they all know the in and outs of this old coach and now you're the odd one out.
That's a great point of kind of sticking it out, knowing that the freshmen, the transfers, and the upperclassmen have been there, yet y'all are all on the same field.
Yeah,
Like,
we're all trying to figure it out.
Yeah, new coach. It's really interesting.
Yep.
Was there any chance of you going to, as you said, Starkville after Coach Mike left? No. Ole Miss through and through. Wow.
Not that I don't.
No.
I still love Mississippi State, but.
Yeah.
But.
I don't know if you can say that when you play soccer at Ole Miss. I don't know. I think that might be a cuss word in the state of Mississippi.
Ole Miss.
What about your brothers and sisters? Like, they all went to Ole Miss? They went to state? Where'd Cade go?
My whole family went to Mississippi State.
Yeah, so you're the black sheep.
I am the black sheep.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Like,
it's all
my
right.
entire family.
That's really funny. What was your dad's when you had to tell your dad, because I want this story recorded, when you told your dad, like, I'm going to Ole Miss, was he like, what are you doing?
No.
Or was he very supportive?
He was really supportive. I think after, because he went on both my visits with me. So after he saw, you know, both places, he was like, she obviously likes Ole Miss better. So I think he just wanted what I wanted, really.
All right.
I was like, that's okay.
Egg Bowl. You root for Ole Miss, right?
Well, before I went to school, I had to wear, my parents made me wear, so my junior year and my senior year, I had to wear an Ole Miss shirt on and then a Mississippi State sweatshirt over because my parents were like, Mississippi State has to be over. But now I do root for Ole Miss.
There you go. Good for you.
It's my school.
It's your school. Like,
no hate towards Mississippi State.
No, we're not saying there's any hate. We're just saying, you know, you have an allegiance when you're growing up, but when you have somebody that's going to pay for your school and let you live out a dream and a goal that you had, that you've been driven since you were 10 years old, I'd support that school too. And I'd choose Ole Miss too if I was, you know what I mean? Let's go back to your high school. Let's go down a stroll down memory lane for a little bit.
Okay.
A lot of fun times on Old Canton Road. You're a name that is known throughout the athletic department, right? When you see it, you're on the record board for track. You're known in soccer. My little boy was talking about how you and Kat are like, Dad, one of them plays college. I was like, I know who you're talking about. But you give back to the community, and I think that's one of the cool things that you're at Ole Miss playing college, but you've never separated yourself from your true roots of being a Lady Patriot, which is awesome. So let's talk about some memories that you have in soccer at MRA. You said it was different than club. It was kind of like your fun part. Made many state championship runs. But give me some high moments at MRA. And then we're going to talk about the flip side of that, of some life lessons that you learned.
Okay, so high moments. I just loved high school soccer. There really isn't a bad moment in high school soccer, other than obviously losing. But it was just such a fun time because I had Coach Stratton, Keo, and Bethany. And all three of them are just such great people and great coaches. So it was like always fun all the time. So I don't really know if I can pinpoint an exact point. Actually, maybe. I think my favorite memory is we used to go on like preseason tournaments in the summer. Those were so much fun. We like
The friendlies, they would say? The friendlies?
The friendlies, yes.
Yeah. So I know a little bit of soccer.
Yeah. They were so fun. And we all stayed in a hotel. It was so much fun.
Sweet. How cool was it that, Bethany played in college? Georgia? She played at Georgia, or was
Bethany,
did she play?
she's not there anymore. Bethany isn't there anymore, but she played at State with
Played
Stratton.
at State with Stratton. And then Keo from overseas. How was that, learning the game from in high school? Like, you got the guy that's doing stuff with Rush, and then you have two girls that played soccer in college. How that helped translate of making the transition of like, oh, this is how a college soccer program is going to be. Was it similar? Were there any differences in that of how our programs ran?
I think it was pretty similar. I mean, because my coach, I mentioned him before, David Johnson, also coached Stratton and Bethany when they were in high school. So the practices were kind of the same, but I mean, not really, because we had, sixth graders practicing with us. But it was David's practices were pretty much just the same, if not harder than the college practices. But yeah, it's pretty much the same. And they really helped, like Bethany and Stratton and David and Keo all helped whenever I was going through recruitment.
Were there any time that Coach Stratton was like, do you really want to go to Ole Miss?
Well, Bethany likes to share this funny story about when we had college fair my sophomore year. No, my junior year. And I came back with like 800 Ole Miss things and like one Mississippi State thing. And she was like, from then on, I knew you were going to go to Ole Miss.
There you go. Let's take the flip side of this. A lot of times, and I've talked to Cody, I've talked to Phillip about like their favorite moments. Were there any low moments you're like, man, this is a setback, and how am I going to recover from that? And you've learned something from that in soccer, or just at MRA period. Maybe it was a class, maybe it was an ACT score that you're like, you know what, this isn't what I want to do. Like, I got to do better at this. Was there any moment you're like, man, high school's harder than I thought it'd be?
Oh gosh, ACT was a mess for me. I mean, I just cannot pay attention to save my life, and so sitting in doing a test for 4 hours straight, that's like torture.
I get it.
It's literally torture.
But
that was horrible, like absolutely horrible. But at that point, I think this is also really bad of me. But I had already committed. I already knew where I was going my junior year. So by senior year, I was like, I don't even want to take this. This is so stupid.
Why am I taking it? Why do I need to get a higher score? Why do I? Yeah. I feel you.
I already have what I'm doing well. That's fine. I can just keep it. I don't want to try again.
That's right.
So then my parents were just like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Leave it.
So that's kind of like how I was. Like when I was finding out that I was going to go play college football, the ACT. So I feel you on that. Like sitting in a room for 4 hours and staring at the same sheets of paper and filling in the same circles in the bubbles. Like, not for me.
No.
Cool. Well, is there anything else that you want to share about your time at MRA or at Ole Miss as we conclude today?
I will say that MRA did help me in school and in soccer to like be prepared for college.
In what ways?
Many ways, like school-wise, I got some of my credits, so I was already kind of ahead once I got to college. And
So dual credit. How many dual credit hours did you get?
I got 2.
2 classes, so 12 hours,
Yes.
6 hours.
2
so
classes.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And so then also soccer-wise and track-wise, because I obviously MRA holds you to a way higher standard. So then whenever I got to college, and some people weren't like that. So I was like, oh. Yeah.
Well, the $1 million question, and I think Trace and I have asked you this, is there any thought of you running track at Ole Miss as well?
I don't know.
If given the opportunity.
If given the opportunity, I would.
Because you could do both.
Yes, I could do both. I would do long jump.
No?
I don't know if I would run.
I mean, you're going to have to run like 98 feet. You have to train as a sprinter.
Right.
So the door is open. The door is open. I say that because you're as good as you are in soccer, you're equally as good in track. You're a phenomenal athlete and a phenomenal student athlete at Madison Ridgeland Academy. As we finish up, I do want to ask you this one question. In 10 years, or I'll go 5. I'll go 5.
5
So you're
years.
done. You're done. Playing career's over. What do you want to do?
Oh, Lord. I don't know. What do I want to do?
Play professional soccer?
No, I don't want to do
You're gonna
that.
hang up. You're gonna hang
I'm
up.
gonna hang up the cleats. Yes, just because I want to start a life, and I want soccer to be, college.
Yeah.
College and high school. But I think in 5 years I'll probably be doing something with soccer still.
Right.
Just
Coaching?
not playing. Maybe coaching. Maybe being a trainer.
Oh, nice.
Or a PT.
There you go.
Or something like that.
Are you going to PT school? Possibly.
No, well, possibly, yeah. I'm majoring in exercise science. So.
Nice.
I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but.
All right. So you opened up the door to this question. When you hang up the cleats, or as Coach Keogh says, the boots, up for the last time, last soccer match, you hang them up, you're done. What do you want your legacy to be as a player?
As a player?
As a player. What do you want your legacy? What do you want the people at Ole Miss, when the freshmen that come in, when you're a senior and you're out the door, and they say, Evie Ewing was what? What kind of player was she?
I want to be remembered as a very hardworking and committed player, because, I mean, I pride myself on being a very hard worker. I think I work hard at everything I do. And so I want people to notice that, obviously.
Yeah.
And then I also want to be remembered as somebody that's very kind to everyone, because college can be scary. People can be mean.
Yeah.
Especially, like, people that you don't know very well. And I just don't want to be that person that's, like, thinks they're better than anybody else, because nobody's better than anybody else.
That's true.
In my opinion.
That's true.
But, yeah.
Definitely driven. Definitely disciplined. And determined. That's what I would tell about you as a high school athlete. I think you had those things of you were very, very driven, and you can see that as we go back and paraphrase this. Like your 10-year-old self is living out the dream that you wanted and saw yourself playing college soccer. So kudos to you for that, and let that be kind of a lesson to anybody that's watching this or listening to this. Any girl that was like, "Hey, I have a goal of doing this." Whether it's playing college basketball, or I think you have to have the vision to do it. And you had the vision at an early age of, I want to go do this. Come heck to high water, I'm going to go and do this, whether it's at Ole Miss, whether it's state, whether it's Timbuktu. I'm going to go play soccer in college. So kudos to you for that. And I want to thank you for taking a time, a little bit out of your day to come and visit with us in the OCR Lounge. And just hearing stories, and this is what I want this podcast to be about, is to hear stories of our student athletes that have done great things at MRA, but have always come back and they give back to the community, and you're definitely doing that. So thank you so much for being a loyal Lady Pat.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
And that's going to do it for this episode in the OCR Lounge with Evie Ewing. Some of the key takeaways that Evie and I talked about was one of the things was a new coach. A new coach that recruited her was different from who coached her. So that those differences and those discrepancies, basing your decision on college, mainly on, yes, the coach, but also the university that you choose. You're going to be there for 4 years, not just the coach. Driven from 10 years old, knowing that she had a goal of playing college soccer and she lived out that dream. I think that's a huge motivation to people that, hey, if I have a dream, you got to set a vision too and let that goal become a reality. A funny story about how her whole family grew up as Mississippi State fans, or she says Starkville, doesn't even call them Mississippi State anymore. And the journey from being a State fan to playing soccer at Ole Miss, and how that whole planned out, and how her parents supported her in that decision. And then lastly, the be prepared moment from the Nike Outdoor Nationals. I think that's one of the huge key takeaways from a student athlete is you got to be prepared with anything, whether it's in the classroom, in your social life, or you're competing for her on a pitch. In soccer, you have to be prepared with your surroundings so you can maximize every opportunity. Thank you to Brown Bottling for being the title sponsor of this podcast, and that'll do it for this edition of the OCR Lounge.